So good news and bad news. Okay, good news and bad news. The good news is I really feel that war, in the traditional sense, as we know it, with little men with, you know, rifles and camouflage and running around and shooting each other, I really feel like that's coming to an end. I don't think you're going to see very much of that anymore in this dimension. So this is great news. Congratulations to all of us who've been what we could call peace activists, or yeah, congratulations. I think we're pretty much there. I don't think you're going to be seeing much on that level anymore. Now for the bad news. Hello, Alexandra. Bad news is there's a new war front, and the attention from those who are interested in war, the warmongers, if you will, the attention has moved to the new war front. And the new war front is 24/7, nonstop, 365 days a year, um, consistent. And the new war front is the most prized real estate is your mind and your heart. And so the new war front is the psychological warfare. And it is on, and it is it is on hardcore. And the the best way to conquer a place is a surprise attack, right? Because if someone doesn't even know that you're attacking them, how can they defend themselves? So the first thing is people don't even realize that this is happening, you know. And there's this war. Not to say this is new or it just began, but it's just the tension has shifted to this. It's on a psychological level now. This is where it's all happening. So it's like these um, hooks, these hooks to get you attached and identified to a certain belief, um, to persuade you in a certain direction, to manipulate you in a certain direction, to basically have control of your mind. Mass mind control. And it's easier to do than ever because if you control the media, then you control the minds, right? You control the news. You control what is news. This is the news. You don't care about what's happening? This is what's happening. You don't. No, I don't care about what's happening. I don't care about what you say is happening. That's what I don't care about. I don't care about what you say is happening. Not interested, because this real estate needs to remain free. This real estate needs to remain free. You see what I'm saying? So there's this idea that, well, the news is what's happening. The news is not what's happening. The news is taking an initial stimulation and then telling a story about what's happening, telling a narration about what's happening. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong or right. I'm just saying that's how it is. We all tell stories about things that are happening. The thing is you need to recognize a story as a story. And we go into this in the course. We go into this a lot into the course. Anxiety to Freedom, the 10-week course. Recognize the story as a story. If you recognize the story as a story, then it's just a story. But if you think the story is true, then you're in a space of delusion, and then you're open to being manipulated. You're being open to being used. You follow what I'm saying? So it's really important to be mindful. So I'm going to be going into more of this over the next few weeks because I was telling the group earlier today, I've put primarily my attention on supporting people to awakening to who they really are, the infinite awareness that's here, and to express it in the world, right? And that's the most essential thing. Nothing else even comes close. That is by far the most essential thing you could ever put your attention to. And it's more important than ever to be focused on anchoring into who you really are, be anchored in who you really are, the infinite awareness of who you are, beyond the ever-changing, shifting ideas, thoughts, feelings, sensations, and to express it in the world. And there's a lot of hooks that are that are enticing, that want to pull you away from that. Right? So I'm going to be putting a little more attention next week in showing you these things that are pulling you away from the essence of who you are and draining your energy and taking your energy and taking your power. Because we are infinitely powerful. We are infinitely powerful, all of us. But we give it away unconsciously, or maybe consciously, but mostly I don't mind if you gave it away consciously, because in the ultimate sense you are empowered to give away your power. But if it's happening unconsciously, then we want to make that conscious. You follow what I'm saying? So I pointed out one of them yesterday in a post. You can see it both on Facebook and on Instagram. And it was about the left-right silliness, you know. Great. This is exactly what I need to hear right now. Fantastic. So it's like, I'm going to give you one of them, okay? And there's other ones I'm going to go into in the next few weeks. And these are deep. The other ones I'll go into further are even deeper. But I'll just give you one example, okay? Left, right. Are you left wing or are you right wing? This is in America. This is like people want to have a civil war over this nonsense. Are you left or are you right? You have to choose one. And there's two preset options. You can only choose one. There's no third, fourth. There's just two options. Two options, right? You have to choose one or the other. Are you left or are you right? So you choose one of them. Then you choose whatever that one is for you. You choose it, and then your pundits have their talking points. They have their talking points, and they're telling you, first of all, what's happening in the world. So there's two different things happening in the world, depending on which one you're tuned into. They're telling you what's happening in the world. They're telling you what to think about it, what to feel about it, and what to do about it. Right? So you're just a drone to this programming. And people just repeat back. They just repeat what they've heard. Right? So this has been controlled. This has been controlled. You know, your heart and your mind are controlled by what? By some, you know, and that's the thing, is like, you always want to know when someone's telling you something, who are they? And what's the reason for telling you? Don't pay attention to the news anchor. The news anchor is like an actor. I mean, they're just reading lines. It's no different than an actor. They're playing a role. They're wearing the outfit they're supposed to wear. They got the hair combed the way it's supposed to be combed, and they're reading lines that were given them. I just saw an example recently of Amazon, Jeff Bezos and Amazon. I could say a lot about them, but they put out this script about how Amazon is doing a great job and making conditions safe for their workers and COVID and all of this stuff, right? So they send this script out to all these different news anchors across America, all these different states across America, and they're reading the script right from Amazon, written by the company, right, written by Amazon, the corporation. They're reading the script. It's basically like giving a free commercial for this corporation. This stuff happens all the time. This stuff happens all the time. I mean, this is the propaganda that we're exposed to now more than ever. It's a psychological warfare. It's a psyops, to use the term that's used, right? So, but this is not, I don't say this to depress you or to make you feel negative or to make you angry. You're entitled to feel whatever you want to feel, but it's to liberate you. Because as soon as you recognize it, you don't get hooked, you know? You start to recognize it, you don't get hooked. You are free. You maintain the freedom of your mind. You maintain the freedom of your heart. And this idea like, oh, if you're in this group, you're supposed to think like, anytime that someone tells you, if you're in this group, you're supposed to think like this, whether it's a political party or it's a race or it's a gender or it's a country or it's a nation, anytime somebody tells you, if you're in this group, you need to think like this, that is wrong. That is incorrect. You are entitled to think creatively for yourself, right? You're entitled to think creatively for yourself. You are a free, sovereign human being who is empowered to be available to the creative intelligence that wants to move through you in this moment. You follow what I'm sharing? You get what I'm saying? So it's like a mass hypnosis. It really works exactly as I started to see it. It works exactly like a mass hypnosis. It's exactly how you first you get somebody really afraid, right? You get somebody really afraid. They're confused. They're going down to the limbic brain. They can't like think straight, you know. And then once that happens, then you can tell them what to do and tell them what to think and tell them what to believe and tell them what's happening and tell them what's not happening. So this is why I realized the most important thing on the most fundamental level is not to be afraid. The most important thing on the fundamental level is not to be afraid. Now that's easier said than done when people are trying to scare the shit out of you constantly, day after day, moment after moment. So one thing I do is turn those people off. If you feel like people are just straight fear mongers, you know, then you tune that out. And this is why I feel being aware of anxiety. The human brain is reprogrammable, yes. Being aware of anxiety, being aware of the anxiety level, and knowing how to transcend it. Because if you're not afraid, if you can come into a space of presence with the moment, what I'm talking about doesn't require reading anything. It doesn't require more information. It doesn't require more knowledge. It requires being anchored in the true self. It requires being anchored in presence. And then you don't have anxiety because you know who you truly are. You know it's impossible to die. You know it's impossible for anything to ever happen to you on any kind of permanent basis. Everything you experience is just temporary. So in this space of infinite freedom, you're clear. You're clear. And the innate intelligence is able to move through you and you're able to perceive from this place of clarity.